everyone! So this has to be my most requested video recently. You guys have been asking for a my vegan story type video / 1 year update because it's been a year for me now. It's actually like 2 weeks under a year because I remember it was around the time that we moved flats, which was end of April last year. I just don't have an exact date, but I can't believe it has been a whole year. I think that goes to show you though that this has never at any point been a struggle for me. It's something I'm a little bit nervous to talk about because you never know how these kind of videos are gonna go down. It's something I'm really passionate about now, and every single day it becomes more and more important to me, and I never want to come across as preachy, and I know if I ever did overstep the mark, you guys would be like, Jess, just tone it down a notch. But at the same time, I really want to get my message across because I think that it's really important that everyone knows the importance of veganism. I want to point out, and the same goes for my what I eat in a day videos, that I'm no nutritionalist, I'm no dietitian. This is just something that I've spent a lot of time researching, and you know, I've been there. I wasn't born a vegan. I used to eat meat. I used to eat a ton of dairy products, and I should also point out that I could never get my head around veganism. If you had told me a little over a year ago that I was going to be a vegan and I was going to be making this video, I wouldn't have believed you, and I probably would have laughed. So maybe pause this video here, go grab yourself a cup of tea and come back, because I've got a feeling this is going to be a long and chatty one. We all know I like to talk. Now, I did do a 6-month vegan update in one of my daily vlogs back in the summer, so I'll link that up here if you haven't seen that yet. I'm probably going to be repeating a lot of this stuff that I'm going to say here, but if you want to watch that after this video, if you haven't seen it yet, then you can. So I went vegetarian, I want to say 12, 13, maybe 14 years old, quite a young age, and I remember the conversation I had with my mum. I don't know what sparked it, but I just said to her, I'm not going to be eating animals anymore. I think that it's so cruel what we do to them, and they don't do anything to us. And she basically said, yeah, I agree, and we decided to go vegetarian at the same time. So I kept that up for a couple of years, and then I came out to Turkey to stay for a month. And if you're new to my channel, I'm from the UK. I'm currently living in Turkey for a couple of years. My fiance is originally from here, and we decided just to live out in the sunshine for a few years before we settled back in the UK. So I was 16 at the time. We've been together almost 10 years now. And I was staying with his family. They were all huge meat eaters, and I mean, vegetarianism is quite hard out here in Turkey as it is, let alone veganism. And I was quite naive at the time. I wasn't experienced with cooking at that age, and because I was staying with them, I couldn't decide what we were eating for meals, and it just seemed so much easier to go back to eating meat. So even when I got back to the UK, I kept up eating meat for around another year, but I could still just never get the thought out of my head that I was eating a dead animal's body. And I remember a couple of things that made me go back to not eating meat again. I remember going to a bakery with my friend, and we both got some sausage rolls, and I remember she bit into hers and this juice just squirted out everywhere, and she laughed about it and joked, and she said, oh, my meat's all sweaty, and I think that was it for me then. My sausage roll went in the bin. And one of the reasons that I went vegetarian in the first place was because we had some pet chickens. Most of them were rescue chickens, and I just absolutely fell in love with them. Ironically though, when I went back to eating meat, I was really only eating chicken and beef. And I remember that the popcorn chicken bites from KFC were like my favourite thing ever. And I remember biting into a piece, and I looked at the piece that I pulled away, and no word of a lie, this vein just unravelled from it, and it was just hanging there. So that was it. That was it for chicken. I think one of the last things I ate was a Big Mac from McDonald's, and this is the complete opposite to how my life is now. But I remember eating this Big Mac and just thinking, this doesn't taste right, it just tastes like death. So then I went back to being vegetarian again, although I was pescatarian because I carried on eating fish, and at this point I'd actually also stopped drinking milk as well. I just think it's disgusting. I mean, we're the only species to drink the milk from another species. That pretty much says it all. If a cow's milk is biologically meant for a calf, why are humans drinking it? And who decided that we should return to drinking milk, and from a cow out of all animals? Why not a cat, a dog, a monkey? Given the choice, would you drink the milk from those animals? I don't think you would. So why is it so normal to drink the milk from a cow? I later came across more reasons why we shouldn't be drinking milk, that 70% of antibiotics produced in the US are fed to animals for illnesses and infections. A female cow is milked up to 3 times a day, and that is not only causing her pain and suffering, but it also causes her udder to become very sore and quite often infected, and so they're fed these antibiotics. But the machines that they're wired up to don't know they're not programmed to know which fluids to extract from the cow. So you get a bit of everything in there: feces, blood, the antibiotics, hormones, pus, the same pus that comes out of the blemishes in our skin. And actually 135 million pus cells are found in each glass of milk. I know that that milk is pasteurised, but it only means that it's sanitised, and so you're still drinking all of that, and it's so unhealthy. And there are just so many delicious alternatives out there now. Nut milks such as cashew, almond, hazelnut milks, hemp, rice, oat, coconut milks, and they're all so delicious and such better options for you. So I started to become a lot more interested in eating cleaner and the concept of plant-based diets. And I can remember just one day that it clicked. I'm not drinking milk for the reasons that I just stated, yet I'm literally living for cheese, yogurt, chocolate, ice cream, butter, and they're all essentially solid forms of milk. I remember coming across this video on YouTube, and it's one of those days where I told myself, I'm going to sit down and watch one video, and then like 5 hours later you're still watching a string of videos. But this video was titled 101 Reasons to Go Vegan, and I thought, wow, that's a lot of reasons to go vegan. I'm going to give it a watch. And I actually thought it was going to be 101 kind of reasons laid out to go vegan, but it's an hour's presentation that's been filmed, and it just blew my mind. I can't believe how ignorant I was to the fact that so much cruelty and suffering goes on, not only in the meat industry, but in the dairy and the egg industry as well, and that, you know, just being a vegetarian wasn't enough, and also just how unhealthy animal products are for you. And it pretty much changed my life overnight. I then was just so intrigued by this video that I then went on to watch the second one, which was called The Best Speech Ever by Gary Yourofsky, and it really is the best speech ever. It's such an incredible video. I think I went vegan overnight, with the exception of honey. I knew a lot of vegans that still ate honey, and I always say, you know, people draw the lines at different points. And it's something that I've only managed to give up recently, because finding replacements here in Turkey has been so difficult, and I was literally just using a tablespoon to sweeten my homemade oat milk every now and then because I didn't have anything else. Even now I continue to watch these documentaries and these videos that I've even seen before because they just absolutely fascinate me. I'm going to link them all down below for you to go and have a watch, and I highly recommend that you do. They're just amazing. I also want to point out here that there is a difference between vegan and plant-based, and it might be a bit confusing because I use both terms. So the term vegan is often used if you care about animals and you don't want to contribute to any cruelty in any way, shape or form. But you can be an unhealthy vegan. A lot of crisp biscuits, cereals, lots of sugary foods can be vegan, and you can still say you're vegan eating these things, but you're not getting the nutrients in. I was actually scared to use the term vegan to start with, because not only was I scared to go vegan, even though I was determined that I was never going to support any form of animal cruelty ever again, I just find that not everyone, but a lot of people, compared to the word vegetarian, will freak out and they'll throw mean comments at you, and they're almost ready to start a fight with you. And then the term plant-based is usually used for health reasons. Animals aren't always the #1 priority, and although I'm vegan 100% for the animals, I do eat more of a plant-based diet. I want to say I'm plant-based around 19, maybe even 95% of the time. I allow myself exceptions, especially when I'm eating out, because it can sometimes be difficult, and that might mean just eating bread or white rice and things that I wouldn't usually eat at home, but that I can still eat. But yeah, for the most part I'm plant-based. I try to avoid additives and processed foods, sugary foods. I just love the idea of how clean a plant-based diet is and how amazing it is for you, that you're literally fueling your body with goodness. You know, you only get one body, so treat it right. And At this point also, you know, I was living abroad and I had to pretty much learn to cook from scratch because there just aren't the options here, which has been an amazing challenge for me, and it's just taught me so much. And I've always loved cooking, but I enjoy it so much more now. So with that said, there are usually three main reasons for going vegan. The first one being for the animals. As I say, I'm 100% vegan for the animals. I'm just such a huge animal lover, and I just think it's so wrong, the discrimination between animals, that some are chosen to be kept as pets and others aren't so worthy of life and they're made into food. I used to think that I was an animal lover, but I've now realised that using that term was so wrong because I was contributing to the cruelness within these industries by purchasing and consuming these products. I love all animals and I think they should all be treated equally. I don't think that there's any reason to love one and exploit another. Even if pain and suffering are out of the question, you know, Gary even says in one of his videos you can feed them cupcakes and give them belly rubs before murdering them, but you're still killing an animal that doesn't want to die, and there's just no humane way to kill an animal. You can find 101 reasons to go vegan and the best speech ever on YouTube, but there's another documentary which I recommend, and that's called Earthlings. It's a hard one to watch, but I believe that everyone should watch it. I think it's really, really important. Then there's the environment, and actually animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change. And I'm not going to go too much into this. I'm going to link to Cowspiracy in the description box below. You can watch that on Netflix, and it's incredible. Again, it just blew my mind. It's such an amazing film. Highly recommend watching that. And then you've got for your health, and again, animal products are the leading cause of death, and they're the main contributor to the top 10 killers such as diabetes, heart disease, cancer. You know, an animal's corpse is not real food, and there's so much cholesterol in animal products. We've already got enough cholesterol in our bodies, we don't need to be adding to that. Plant-based foods are so full of fibre and no cholesterol, whereas animal products are no fibre and all cholesterol. So those are the three main reasons for choosing to go vegan. But to give you an idea of what a vegan can save in one day, firstly you can save 1,100 gallons of water. It takes 660 gallons of water just to make one hamburger, and that is the equivalent to showering for 2 months, and obviously all that water is needed for the grain that is used to feed the animals. Also save 10 kilograms of CO2 equivalent. Animal agriculture is responsible for 18 to 51% of greenhouse gas emissions, and that is more than the combined exhaust of all methods of transportation across the world, which is 13%. 30 square metres of forested land, more than 30% or a third of the Earth's land is used for livestock or livestock feed, and animal agriculture is responsible for 91% of destruction within the Amazonian rainforest, with 1 to 2 acres of land being cleared per second for livestock. You can save £45 of grain, and this can be used to instead feed the thousands, millions of starving mouths all over the world. But most importantly, you save one animal's life every single day. 3,000 animals lose their life per second for the sake of the meat industry, and that is 59 billion animals per year. And I believe that that also excludes the 90 to 100 million tonnes of fish that are pulled out of the ocean each year, as well as 2.7 trillion animals that are pulled out of the ocean each year that get caught in fish nets and are left to die, such as whales, dolphins and turtles. Those facts have stuck in my head since watching Cowspiracy, and yeah, mind blown. I always get asked what are the physical benefits and the mental benefits of going vegan, and I think mentally I just feel positive all the time, and there's just no way to describe how amazing you feel. I actually had a viewer who recently commented on my video. I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but she said that I inspired her to go vegan, and she said, I don't know if it's just me, but I just feel so good. She said, it's just such an exciting feeling. And I said to her, that is the only way that I can describe it. You don't know how this feels until you go on this journey yourself. And I just feel clean from the inside out, and that's all I can say. I just feel good about myself. I haven't been ill once since going vegan. I just have so much energy all the time and I just feel great about life. I think the main thing physically for me is my skin. I'm gonna insert a picture of what my skin looked like when I was a complete cheese addict. My skin has never been that bad. It was horrendous. I put off doing skincare routines because I was just so embarrassed by my skin and I could never get anything to clear it up. Since going vegan, my skin has never been so amazing. Don't get me wrong, I still get my hormonal breakouts at that time of the month. My skin really does go wild, but my skin those 3 weeks of the month, it's just never been so good. I don't get breakouts anymore, my skin just glows, and the same goes for my hair and my nails as well. They've never been in such good condition. So it doesn't really stop there, and on my 6-month vegan story / update video, Gemma from OMG, Gemma, who I'll link to down below, we actually happened to go vegan around the same time, I think. She left a comment and said that she was then going to start going cruelty-free with her beauty products. And I thought, yeah, why not? I'm not supporting animal cruelty anymore in terms of food, yet I'm still using all of these brands that test their products on animals and in the end they die from it. I'm sure I would have gone cruelty free eventually, but I definitely have Gemma to thank for that because she put the thought in my head. And again, that's just been such an exciting journey to discover new brands that don't test on animals, to find out the brands that I already loved don't test on animals. It's such a cruel industry. The products are tested in their eyes, they're forced to drink it, their fur is shaved off and it's applied directly to their skin. And especially since getting my pet rabbit, there's just no way that I can support that anymore. And the same with food, it's an ongoing thing, that the excitement never stops. You're always discovering new things and it just feels great. And then obviously there's my wardrobe, and I was still purchasing leather products as a vegetarian, but I am no longer purchasing any items of clothing that are made from animals. I was ignorant to the fact that there are actually separate slaughterhouses for leather items. I always thought that it was what was left over from the slaughterhouses that were used for leather products, but the animals are so abused and tortured, and the way that they're dismembered just means that their skin isn't in any good condition to be used for leather, and so there are separate slaughterhouses for this. I think I've got to a point where I've said everything I wanted to so far, but if I've missed anything out, it might be for a reason, because I did say that I was going to do a Q&A at the end of this video, so thank you for sending your questions in over on Twitter. I actually set up a hashtag #AskJessVegan, but I think that someone else was using it, so I'm just going to go through my mentions to find the questions that you've sent in. Sandra from Sandra Beauty asks, do you still drink wine and or alcoholic drinks? Congrats on 1 year vegan. Thank you, Sandra. I do still drink occasionally, but you have to be quite careful, and it can be difficult because a lot of wines, Prosecco's, champagnes especially, still use animal byproducts such as fish bladders, eggs, things like that. Apparently it helps with the smoothness of the alcohol, I think. There is a list online, which I'll link to down below, that has every single vegan wine available in the UK, so I tend to go by that. And come the summer, all I really drink is Pimm's and lemonade. Ellen from @HigherVegan asks, what was the food you found hardest to cut out? I'd say cheese and chocolate. I was the biggest cheese addict, but actually 1 month into going vegan, I didn't even think about it. When you actually know what's going in your food, you don't really even want to eat it. I wasn't craving it. And there are some amazing vegan, even plant-based chocolate alternatives which taste amazing. Jess, great name, @Where's My Lipstick asks, what advice would you give to anyone wanting to go vegan from the lessons you've learned along the way? First and foremost, educate yourself. And I don't really like using that term because it sounds a bit patronising, but you'll find that it's used a lot within like the vegan community. So go and watch all of these videos and documentaries. I'll link them down below. They're all about an hour long, but if you watch them over the space of a week or something, you don't have to watch them all in one go. They will just blow your mind. And I always say not to rush into it. I think that from being vegetarian for a long time first made it so much easier for me. It felt like less of a leap, and I feel that if you go straight from a meat eater to being vegetarian, you can often fall backwards and start to crave things, and then you're more likely to binge on animal products. So just take things one step at a time. There's no hurry. Laura @LauraPerrin28 said, adoring your videos, thank you Laura, and she asks, what mistakes and slip-ups have you made as a vegan and how do you deal with those? I'd say my biggest mistake in the beginning was when people asked me why I was vegan and where I get my protein from, which you get asked all the time, is just not having you know, very good answers. I'd just say I don't support animal cruelty, but now I have all these facts in my head from all the videos and documentaries that I've learned that I can just kind of reel these off in a non-preachy way, and hopefully, you know, they'll understand. And also at the very beginning, you're not checking the ingredients on absolutely everything, because the things that you think may not even have animal products in could contain animal products. So it's looking out for things like whey powders, milk powders, cheese powders, flavourings. It does make your supermarket shop a heck of a lot longer, but it's really exciting when you find something that you think might not be vegan and it is. Gemma at Gem Fearless asks, did your family and friends react negatively when you went vegan? I had a lot of opposition to me going vegan. And she also asked, what do you do when you go to friends or family's houses for dinner? P.S. I love your food videos. Thank you, Gemma. My family were really supportive about it. Both my parents said, you know, it's such an amazing thing that you're doing, just make sure that you're getting everything that you need. And when I go home to eat, you know, my parents actually eat a lot of vegetarian foods as it is anyway, so whatever is being cooked, I'll just remove the cheese before it goes in, or the yogurt or whatever, and I can make it vegan. My fiance's been amazing. He actually gets really excited when he finds something in the supermarket that I can have, and he came home the other day from popping out to the supermarket and he bought some chocolate home, and he couldn't have been more excited that it didn't have milk in it and that he knew that I was going to love it. And he's a big meat eater, as are, you know, two of my best friends. My best friend, she's been amazing about it, and actually she is quite happy to eat vegan food with me, even though I say to her, you know, you don't have to do that just because I'm here. But I think she actually eats a lot of vegetarian food. And again, I remember she came round my house one day last summer when I'd recently gone vegan, and she'd found the Swedish glass ice cream in the supermarket, and again she just couldn't be more excited that she'd found this ice cream that we could eat. Even at her wedding 2 months ago, she'd organised for me to have vegan canapes and a vegan meal at the reception, and I said to her beforehand, you don't have to worry about me. I said, I'm sure that there's something at the buffet that I can eat, but she arranged all of that for me, and yeah, she's been amazing, as has my best friend Nat as well, even though she's a meat eater, and we have very different opinions on food. She's always willing to try restaurants that have vegan options for me, and even if we go somewhere new and she's been there before and I haven't, she'll say, I really like the food there, but I don't think that there'll be any options for you. Do you want to try somewhere else? And that is all you ask for. A lot of the time I'll eat out with friends, but if we do stay in and cook together, we'll usually pop to the supermarket beforehand and get our food then, so I know what I'm going to be eating. Axel, I hope I pronounced your name right, at Style Playground asks, do you have any good recipe book recommendations? Would love to know. I don't think I actually have any recipe books. I don't tend to follow recipes. I tend to come up with them myself. If I do follow anything, I will always mention that I followed a recipe. I like Jamie Oliver's website. He has a couple of vegan options on there, as does Madeline Shaw. Even though she's not a vegan, she still has some great recipes. Deliciously Ella, I do have her cookbook actually, and I think she's just come out with a new one. I'm trying to think of anything else. Definitely don't have any other vegan cookbooks, but I will link to some maybe in the description box below that I've heard really great things about. I don't have myself, but I've heard they're amazing, so they should be good. Hopefully that can help. Another Jess, at Jessica Rose, asks, did you notice any health benefits when you started? Top tips for aspiring vegan. Love your videos. Thanks, Jess. As I say, health benefits, amazing skin, hair, nails, just so much energy, feel positive all the time. And it's just an indescribable feeling, it honestly is. In terms of my top tip for going vegan, again, just watch these videos, because there's just all the information that you need there, and do your research. That's all I did, and it does get easier. I think that's all of the questions on Twitter. I believe I had a few on Instagram as well. Colette Doc said, I love your food videos and recipes, thank you. And she asked, I was wondering if you've ever tried to make your own soy yogurt before. I actually haven't. I don't eat a lot of soy products. I just find that they can be quite processed, but I would love to try making coconut milk yogurt. I think it can be quite easy. I'm going to try and look up how to do that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the necessary ingredients here, but that's definitely something that I want to try. KS Moonstone said, I tried a vegan plant-based diet before but no success. I end up eating carbohydrates more than usual to keep me full, and I find my life is a bit difficult when I have to be cautious with what I eat. Anyway, my health is better when I cut down meat, so I want to try again. I need some advice. I hope that this video has helped. As I say, go and watch those videos. Gary Yourofsky's The Best Speech Ever is actually has been translated into so many different languages with subtitles. I know in the comment you said sorry for your English, although your English is really good. I don't know where you're from, but hopefully you'll be able to watch that video in your language. Judith Ken asks, is being a vegan sometimes more expensive than a vegetarian or meat eating diet? I don't think so at all. I think that meat can be really, really expensive. And although a lot of the products can seem expensive, for example, I bought about a 500 gram bag of raw cacao powder for about £7 or £8. That was like a year ago, and I use it all the time and it's still going. It might seem that you spend a lot of money in the first place, but it works out to be so worth it. I would also rather spend a little bit more money if it works out to be more expensive on foods that I know are much better for me. Afternoon Tea Break asks, are you going to write a cookbook because I would be the first to buy it, love your videos, and how do you feel physically and mentally after you became vegan? I think I've already answered the physically and mentally side of things. Thank you for asking if I'm going to bring out a cookbook, because it gets asked in all of my what I eat in a day videos, and I mean it would be the ultimate dream. I have no idea of how to go about it. I could possibly think about coming out with an ebook, but again I just have no idea where to start, so I mean that could be something that comes in the future, I would like to think. I think that's it on Instagram, and I had a couple on Snapchat as well, so I'm just going to find those. Jeannie asks, I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way, but could you explain if a vegan diet works for weight loss? Definitely, and the same goes for weight gain as well. I think if you eat a really healthy plant-based diet, you can get to your natural healthy weight. I put on a little bit of weight to start with. I think that's because I wasn't doing any exercise. I used the excuses that our pool was empty and our gym was empty to not do any. But also I eat what I like in moderation. I don't count anything such as healthy fats as bad as long as I'm eating all goodness, and I know that some people don't agree with that, but I think as long as I'm getting my exercise in as well, it works for me, but that might mean that it doesn't necessarily work for you. But yes, it's an amazing way to lose weight healthily. And then Katie asks, and this was actually a direct question, I've already answered her, but I asked her if I could include it in the video as well, and she was okay with that. And she said, my friend is being vegan for a month to test it. She went straight from eating meat and she says that her head feels off. Is there anything she could do? I said she needs to make sure that she's getting plenty of iron, and you can get that from iron-rich foods such as beetroot, spinach, leafy greens. Vitamin B12 is an essential vitamin for vegans. It's something that you can get from, I think, dairy products, but mainly meat. So that's obviously something that we don't get, but you can get that from nutritional yeast. I buy that on Amazon. It looks like fish food. It tastes like cheese. You can put it on top of pizzas and pastas, and it's a great way to get it into your diet. You can also take supplements as well. She actually also said in another message that her friend wasn't eating enough during the day, and I said you have to make sure that you're getting enough food. A vegan diet is very calorie dense. You almost end up eating double the amount than you usually would as a meat eater. I said to make sure she drinks plenty of water and to not eat too many sugary foods as well. I really hope that this has been helpful. I hope that it hasn't come across preachy in any way. I'm going to link to all of the videos and documentaries that I've mentioned here in the description box below. If you do anything after watching this video, please go and give them a watch. They're so important. Some of them can be quite graphic. You get a warning beforehand. I watched them because I didn't know what to expect, but I think it's really important to watch them. I think, you know, if you're not prepared to find out how your food gets to your plate, where it comes from and what that animal goes through, why are you eating it? There's only one regret I have since going vegan, and that is not doing this sooner. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll always get back to those. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for all of your support on my What I Eat in a Day videos. I never expected them to go down so well, and it honestly means so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye!